This is Life Contracts, a beta look into the life of myself, Persue, the artist. I wanted to capture basically the storytelling behind the evolution of my work, some important players that were involved, where I started, how I became an artist, and the journey. I try to do my best here in San Diego at Art Produce to capture just the beginning chapters of a much larger story. Probably one of my earliest pieces here, something my mom had framed up from 1976. Giving homage to the players in my early development. Here's a picture of Expect, who was a writer here in San Diego that introduced me to the graffiti culture and even gave me the name Persue. Here we have Peng 1. Peng was the one that showed me how to do these cutting techniques and eventually led me to the spray can. As you can see, I've always been sort of attached to painting bunnies. I thought they were fun and unique, and maybe they represented me in some way. And these found themselves on 8-Ball t-shirts, and 8-Ball was a brand started by Ken Block and Damon Way back in 1990. These opened the door for me into the skateboard industry. Being mentored at that time by Quasar, rest in peace. And we would travel up and down the West Coast from up to LA, up to San Francisco. He showed me the ropes, and he had my back. Worked with Ken and Damon on establishing Dub and DC from the jump. And this stuff is like pretty important work in the scope of skateboarding brand evolution. You know, Drawers was a very influential brand. So was Dub, and eventually DC as well. Being at the forefront of that with my friends Ken and Damon, and eventually Alyasha, we turned a lot of heads. We touched a lot of hearts with this work and see our DNA woven into modern day high fashion. You know, like the puffy shoe. This is a shoe I designed for Osiris back in 1998. It's called the Graph. So yeah, like designing and developing shoes was a lot of fun because you could fall into like all of the nuances that make a skate shoe. It was technical stuff for a bunch of kids that didn't know how to do anything. We were learning as we went. That was a beautiful thing about the skate industry. And Gary Sue and Louis Barletta, in a series of paintings I produced for the Osiris Subject to Change. I always wanted to have my own stuff, and so when Bunny Kitty presented itself back in 2001, I was like, well, here we go. I've got something that I could actually put out there, tell a story through many characters, and create product with it, and touch the hearts of people of all ages. And that's what I think Bunny Kitty has done. Love this painting that Tristan Eaton and I did in Korea, Forever Peace, 15 stories. Bunny Kitty into the fine art world with the pop art approach. And the discovery of my liminal space abstractions. This is graffiti on the wet paint side. And I found a minimalist approach. This is Life Contract. This is a beta of things to come and storytelling to come of the entire story. A career that spans 35 years. In graffiti and skateboarding and graphic design and writing, and I tend to look at all of this as a collaboration with a lot of important people, and that I wasn't in it alone. If it weren't for people like Ken Block, who started 8-Ball and Drawers, and I collaborated on Dub and DC, then I wouldn't be able to have this conversation.